I am suspecting that the fish population of this lake is becoming a little bit too crowded. So this winter I decided to set up camp close to here and fish with nets under the ice. What I'm going to show you today is how to do that, how to set it up. It's a fairly long process in the first time, but after it's been set once you can just pull it back and forth for throughout the winter. Now this is the equipment that is needed to set the net. To the left here is a long stick. It needs to float, that's the only requirement. It also helps that it's relatively smooth and preferably also a bit strong. Right close to us here is our two cleft sticks. Their usage I'll show you later. And there is an axe for getting through the ice. If the ice was a bit thicker, this is still fairly early in the season. If the ice was a bit thicker, I'd use an ice spud. And there is a rope, and there is of course the fishing net. Now I already checked the depth of the lake here yesterday, but I'll check it again just for demonstration. And the thing about the depth is that it needs to be the depth of the net plus the expected ice thickness. So since I'm gonna have this net probably in all winter, put it back and forth, it needs to be the expected thickness of the ice, which is in this part approximately 1 meter, 1.5, and then the net is 1.5 meters deep, so I need at least 3 meters. Now this pole is probably about 4 meters, so we'll give it a go. Yeah, it's definitely deep enough here. The first end hole has to be quite a bit bigger than the other holes. Reason is that we're gonna get the pole in there. It is also possible to make the last hole bigger in case you want to take the pole back up again for setting more nets. Reason why I didn't use that depth checking hole for starting the net lay itself is because with an axe you get a lot of splashing around if there's water flowing through. Now what I'm doing is that I'm chopping to an equal depth all the way around and then try to break it as quickly as possible through on all sides. This way I don't have to get quite as wet as I would otherwise. Now I still got quite a bit wet, which is why it's greatly preferred to use ice spud if you have one, ice chisel. But now we have two options for getting rid of the ice. Either you take up the ice block or you push it under the ice. So I'm going to go for the easier option. There, that's a relatively clean hole right away. Now we'll measure up the rest of the holes and get the net laid. Now laid out the net, and what we're going to do is to walk along the net and measure out with the long pole with approximately half a meter of overlap. That's about the minimum that you need in order to retrieve the pole in the next hole comfortably. Now that's quite a few holes that I have to chop before I'll get back to you. There is a little bit of slack in the end. The net is a little bit longer than the number of holes, but that is good. It's always good to have a little bit of slack in the net, and it fishes better. Finally, the preparations took a while, but now we're ready to take the rope underneath the ice. Tied the rope to the pole a little bit in, because it's somewhat weak in the end. And this part is also quite important. Is in the other end you have a crossbar with the other end of the rope tied. Otherwise you might be out of luck and lose the whole rope under the ice. Now underneath. Now we need the cleft stick and take it a bit up and down to the side. Try to aim for the next hole while we're torquing to the side. Was that correct? Check in the other hole. No, a little bit more. Take it a bit back. Now I think we got it. Yeah, there you can see the end of the pole right there. I need to be careful. push it further onto the ice, under the ice. I think I'll push it a bit ahead and then see. Locked there. It's possible to use your hands as well. I can assure you, with this wind and a few minus, it's fairly uncomfortable. Now what we'll do is that we'll repeat the procedure till we get to the next hole. Need to make sure that we don't at any point lose the grip of the pole. There, so we'll take the one there, try to hold it in place. And then go for the next hole. Yeah, you can see it just barely there. Then I'll just hold that in place. There. And go this one. Now I'll just continue along like that until I reach the end, and then we'll start setting the net itself. I got a pole in the other end now. I tied it, took it off the rope, just passed it on under the ice, took up the rope, and now I started pulling the net underneath. This is a lot easier if you're two people, but it is possible to do it alone. A reason why I have this reindeer skin here is to keep it from snagging too much on the ice while I'm pulling. It's also equally, remember as with the rope earlier, to tie off the other end of the net while you're pulling it underneath. I've now received the gill net in the other end, tied it off in both ends. The holes in the middle can just refreeze, they're not needed anymore, since a rope or a net will be kept between the two endpoints at any time. Right now it's not super cold, so I won't bother covering the holes just for tomorrow. Might be a little bit of ice there then, but not too much. If it was colder, I'd cover with spruce boughs and plenty of snow on top to insulate. It's important that the rope hangs approximately in the middle of the hole, so that it doesn't freeze to the side of the hole. The same goes for the other end. Now I'm going back to the labu to make a fire and some food after this rather cold experience, and hopefully there will be some fish tomorrow morning. It's a very windy day today. The bows here are to lay the top line of the net on while we're catching the net, so we don't have to put the whole thing onto the ice and risk it flying everywhere. I'll try to set the camera on the side, hopefully it doesn't fly away. And we can see. The camera died because of dew, so I had to do the rest of the filming later. As you could see, caught only one fish. That is fairly common at this, with this kind of fishing under the ice. Sometimes you get like 3, 4, 5, but rarely much more. At least with brown trout. With other species such as whitefish, which move around in shoals, you can catch quite a few more. So I hope you enjoyed the video. See you later.